Hello, my name is Anreas Boes. I'm coming from Siemens, and I would like to thank, first of all, Energy and Mines giving me the opportunity to be here and talking to you about displacement of diesel in remote mining projects. And in this year, PDAC, I got to know Bill Mercer and his team and the Avalon project, this Necalacho hybrid project, which we then evolved and tried to develop out of that. I would like to engage on the thinking and the sayings and what Bill said before, and develop that more into the operational stage and show a case study actually on this specific thing. Next, please. Oh, sorry, I have to move it over here. Very quickly, the Necalacho project is a very remote place. It's in the northwestern territories, close to Yellowknife. The mining type is underground mining for rare earths and elements, and with all the concentrator and logistics and things and housing facilities on site. The project achievements, the project is quite developed. The project has got the initial land using permit and last year, and is developing further into an implementation stage, which should start in 2018. The sustainability concept is something which we discussed very intensively with Bill. This is something which is a scenario which we are analyzing. Could be a stringent minimized energy consumption for the plant design and the design of the mining process as such, and to minimize the carbon footprint. And the power supply is on site, is not connected to the grid at all, and the idea is to install a high penetration power plant solution. Where is it located? It is, as I said, in the Northwestern Territories. Here's an overview which Avalon provided to us. It's close to the Great Slave Lake, and there are no roads, so at the end of the day some shipment has to be taken from after a very long rail or land transport. It's a quite complex logistic effort to get there or to get all the equipment there, not only the mining equipment, but also if we start thinking about a hybrid plant. What was very well done by Avalon was that by prospecting the mining resource, they also looked very stringently and directly into what can be done on a power supply side, on the renewable side, and they put up a met mast, which is very important because they took a decision that wind would be quite an interesting case here. And wind study was done, and the preliminary siting possibilities were analyzed already. And the red marked areas there are the places where it can be installed. There you can see the met mast on the more right part of the picture. And now come on, there is somebody discharging the data which was collected over a certain period of time. Normally we say you need to have at least 1 year of met mast measuring on site before you can really decide if the site is interesting for wind, for example. Now, hybrid generation project has different challenges. In this specific case, we identified 3 very important challenges, which is resource, logistics, and climate. Resource, the wind resource is quite good in that area, though 6 meters per second is not on the high side. It's a normal site, I would say, at 80 meters above ground level. On the logistic side, as I said, Yellowknife is the area around Yellowknife is quite remote, and with the final barge transport, this will be an issue for wind turbines. And from the climate, there is a little mistake. You can also have plus temperatures during summer, and but the range of temperatures between minus 30 and plus 30, or minus 40 plus 30, or what in that area is a real challenge also for energy generation equipment. Now, I talked about the sustainable approach to mining, and a sustainable approach to mining embraces the whole mining, or the idea embraces the whole mining activity from an energy point of view and an efficiency point of view. So, first of all, the civil design of all civil installations there have to be analyzed and optimized from an energy point of perspective. The efficiency boost in all appliances used on the mine and the lighting has to be considered. The effective mining design is very important because if we think about Necalacho project, it's an underground mining. All the fans and all the electrical, all the equipment which you use under surface could be also electrical driven, must not be diesel driven, but therefore you need a lot of power, and this has to be considered also in the design very early. And last but not least, efficiency enhancements in the processing itself. So maybe the process is quite an established one, but maybe the one or the other enhancement in the process can be done to optimize the energy. And this comes then out at the sustainable energy centered approach. Having said that, this approach has not been followed up in this feasibility study we will talk about, but let me very quickly make a definition on hybrid plants. A hybrid plant, normally when you have a mining operation and you have some residential part there, you put a diesel genset, and that's what everybody knows. Now, you can put some wind on that, on a small portion. There is an effect, but not that much you have to consider. If you want to put more wind and to get into what we call a high penetration solution, it is necessary to balance that. We do that with batteries. You need to also install a central control system which controls all the loads and all the generators with it, and connects them and runs it as an optimal system. Now, what is high penetration, which I talked about? High penetration is when you store more renewable power than your load is. And with that, you can, when the resource is there, you can switch off your gensets. Renewable share in lieu to that is the amount of energy in a certain period which can be produced on a renewable basis. Okay, let's look at the case study where we still have a look at a more traditional or conventional mining design without having optimized it as I presented as a possibility before. A project is a greenfield project. We have a high penetration diesel offsetting, what we're trying to do, around 20 megawatt load, quite stable. We have wind data from METMAS, as I said, location you know. Mine grid is connected with a 5 kilometer overhead transmission line to the side of the wind park. The gensets, we install nine unit at about 3 megawatts to total 29, nearly 26 megawatts to have some N-2 concepts realized here. We have a lot of different type of wind turbines analyzed, Siemens and also third party. This is just an example which I have here. Different hub heights and things like that. We have an energy storage system which is a lithium-ion system. We have a Siemens control system, and but it's very important, all equipment specially prepared for that cold area. The fuel price is quite conservative. When I heard here what Bill just said, $2.5 US, what he considered, in the study it's considered with $1 US per liter, being the price of the diesel on site in the tank. And from the financial modeling, it is an ownership of the mine itself with a 5%, nearly 5.3% WACC and a 75% gearing. 20 years horizon of project horizon. Now, this is just the result of the simulations. I don't want to bother you too much with it, but what is very nice to see here is the green lines are the wind power, the purple line is the load. So you exceed with the installed solution the generation, and what you actually do is you dump some load. Now, from a fossil perspective, dumping load is the worst thing you can do. But on renewable, the energy is there. It's not lost. It's not it is not a lost energy. What you from the financial stream point of view. The black lines are the gensets, which are, as you can see, are turned off when the resource is good, and when the resource is not so good, the gensets are more on the operating side. The red line is the state of charge of the battery. So we use the battery we use the wind energy to load the battery and to stabilize the operation as when the gensets are turned off. And having then having that high penetration of wind power, having a stable and secure grid that can be operated. This is a similar thing, but on another day. This is a summer day and with a much poorer resource situation where you can see that the gensets are operating. The gensets exceed the load because this is a gross power, so you have the parasitic power considered there as well. Now the results of the financial modeling. First of all, it had to be said is that there are two possible solutions which we found. Everything depends on what is the optimization criteria. We have a LCOE, levelized cost of electricity optimized, which is the overall discounted energy price of a kilowatt hour vis-a-vis a equity return on investment perception. And then the configuration changes. For example, for the LCOE-based solution, we have 15 wind units at totaling 35 megawatts, while on the IRR solution, we have only 10 units close to the load of the plant. So this is a result. What is very interesting to see is we have quite interesting IRR values and quite interesting LCOE values on both solutions. And there is something where the discussion has to start now with the investor to see what is this preferred solution to follow. Looking a little bit about the sensitivity considerations, I didn't want to make it too complex. I just looked at CapEx, at OpEx, more than it's actually fuel costs, and the load. If we start thinking about an optimized design, which I talked about before, what can be seen very clearly is that the IRR consideration, or IRR optimized solution, is much more susceptible to fuel and CapEx than a LCOE consideration, or its LCOE optimized solution, while both are similarly sensitive to changes in the reference load, which has to be covered. Now, what is the recommendation to Avalon? As I said, there are two possibilities. Two possible ways to go: lowest generation cost or maximum return on equity. This has to be decided, especially if the next step is taken and a sustainable mining approach is considered, where if you consequently displace fossil fuel, you would observe a quite higher load. Or if you optimize your processing and as well as the optimization of civil designs, which I mentioned before, will definitely lower the consumption. But on a net basis, I would expect that, or we expect that the first point will be the overarching element here, and for that, more investigation is necessary to have a much more and detailed appraisal of the solution. So what is important in this business? In this business, it's important that you very early engage with somebody who knows about hybrid systems. As this is a very new technology, there is not so much expertise in the market. So what we did is we expanded also into the analyzing and the sizing approach, as well as in the feasibility phase, to see or to support the developers in regard of the stability and soundness of the project. Ensure we also we execute projects and provide service and maintenance. So what we do and what I try to say here is that we do a whole wrap solution. That's what we can offer. Let me very quickly come to guarantees. Guarantees is a very important thing. On the panel today morning, we heard a lot that somebody has to be there to be responsible for what is happening, and that's what we try to do. Now, here's a system similar for as that which we analyzed for the mine, and putting the control system on it. There are different levels of guarantee which can be given, and if we consider the guarantee only for each component, for example, for the wind park, There will be the weather risk will not be covered, and the storage performance will not be covered. The control strategy will not be covered, and so on. The only thing what we cover would be the wind solution. Sorry, I see there's a mistake. This is said PV park. It should be wind park. Sorry for that. The next step is if we go a little bit further down and we look at the energy which the park actually provides. There, the weather element is covered as well, but I think what much more interesting in hybrid plants is the next step, where you consider also the battery and the operation of the battery and the strategy of when the battery is charged and discharged, and then you get a much more overarching solution for you if in regard of risk coverage. The next thing which can be given is if there is possibilities also for the gensets, or the gensets are a new supply, you can also guarantee the operation of the gensets, and then you get an overall situation where you can actually guarantee the liters of fuel which are going to be used in the project, and this gives you a quite good basis for your financial modeling and certainty. Last but not least, this is a more academic solution, that even the fuel price could be guaranteed. But I think at least for my company, this is something a risk which we do not take over, because at the end of the day, if we would do that, this would be something like being a bank where you just put your money on and get your interest rate, and there is not big risk on that, or no big chance even also for you on that. So this is something which we do not do. Therefore, we concentrate on those two. The risk from the owner's perspective decreases from the top to the lower part. Quickly to wrap up the idea, it's very important that a supplier of a hybrid plant focuses specifically on the requirements of the mine and of the project, because each project is unique, and there is no such as a standardized solution from our perspective. It is important that the solutions cover the whole scope. If you have different people to point at a later stage and giving you different guarantees, then you will never be able to get the whole away from the whole risk. And this can only be done with a one-stop turnkey solution. And to do that, you need, and to implement that anywhere in the world, it is important that your supplier has that experience to do that. And what is very important from my perspective is this supplier needs to have the financial strength to run through the project with you, and to be there after the project has been sold and after the project has been implemented, to solve your problems during operation time as well. And last but not least, the credibility towards financing partners. We have seen that the investment is not quite small, what we're talking about. This credibility is very important, and we as Siemens are there to and can provide all these points. Thank you very much.